PG-13. Have you hit play?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Grooming. Grooming of the horse. We've caught the horse. We've tied him up with a quick release knot. Now we need to groom our horse. Okay. We groom before we ride every time, or we groom if we just want to spend some time with our horse. We are looking for any cuts, injuries, lumps or bumps that might have not been there the last time we groomed. And it's also really nice to bond with your horse. So I'm just going to do the left side of Spud. Horses have two sides. So what we do on the left, we also need to do on the right. I would typically go the whole brush on the left and then go around to the right and then follow on with the brushes. So we're going to start with the curry comb. Okay, this will either be a really hard plastic or a soft rubber. And it's designed to lift all the dirt and dander from the base of the coat up to the surface so we can get it out. We want to do nice circular motions and quite firm, so it's a bit of a massage for them as well. We're going to focus on using this one all on his neck and shoulder and on his chest, on his back and on his tummy. A little bit gentle on the tummy, especially we just want to make sure where the area where his saddle goes is all clean. Very gentle around this area, the flank, because they can be a bit tickly. And they really like it on their bottom warts. So we're going to give him a quick curry comb, starting from the front, working our way back. So nice and round motion. You can see his little face in a minute. He'll start to feel funny because he thinks that feels amazing. So give him a good curry comb all over. Now Spud will probably move and want his bottom done. Stay still. So now we're going to do just those little sensitive areas. To be actually very safe, you should be facing the back. We don't want to bend over or put our head underneath here while we're doing it, just in case there's a fly that might bother them and they could give the fly a kick. You don't want your head in the way of that. So we give him a nice little circular groom around there, gentle over the tickly bits. Spud loves his bottom being done, so he will literally lean into you. Anything you ever want to add in, Erin, might be helpful.
No, just the faces he's pulling is hilarious.
Right, if they do squash you like this a little bit, it's a bit ridiculous. So we do poke that little area and say, excuse me, please move over. Once he's done, we take our pressure off there and we just do the areas that we need to do. Keeping your feet out of the way, staying close to him as it's a little bit safer, believe it or not. Okay, once we've done this side, we would go to the other side. If these fill up with hair, especially in shedding season, just give them a little tap. You'll see the dirt and dander come out, or you can pull it out. Then, funnily enough, we move on to, you ready? The dandy brush. Shock horror. And what that does is help flick all the dander off the horse that we have just brought up to the surface. So it's got longer bristles and they're quite coarse. This one's good because you can use it all over the body and gently on the legs. Always still gentle on the flank and underneath. I would prefer if you don't use it on their faces because it's a bit rough and their face is quite bony. We do have another brush for that. So not for the face, but for the rest of the body, you can do this one. So we start at the front, following the direction of the hair, short, swift little moves. Just helps get all that hair, dirt and dander that was lifted off the base of the coat off Spud. He's just wanting his bottom done at all times. You get the day off, mate, so just behave. This is all the work you have to do. Nice and clean. Yes. So when I want to do his legs, I'm going to stand still facing to the back of him so I'm nice and close. And I'm just going to bend down or squat down, but never kneel, never leave the knee. It's not safe. So you can squat down, hold onto his little leg, just give it a little brush, inside and out. Sometimes I like to put their food on their legs and it gets a bit stuck, so this is the brush to get all that off. So do that, and same for the back one. Down, the brush.
Can't see it, don't mention it.
Move on to the next brush.
Just so you know, guys, when a horse is yawning like Spuddy is there, It's actually a sign that he's releasing tension in his body and he's feeling pretty good. So if your horse is pulling lots of faces and yawning or doing eye rolls while you're grooming him, you're making him feel really, really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have the body brush. This is like a polishing cloth. So this one we can use all over, and we can do his face and his whole body. And this just puts that nice shine on and makes everything look a bit pretty. So if we're going to do his face, we just follow the direction of the hairs. They all go in little different ways. So I'll just leave it at that because my tongue's getting twisted. And we just nice and gently brush. We can just lift the halter up and push it forward and just brush his face everywhere where the bridle's going to sit, and really soft and gentle down his nose. Very careful around the eyes. We don't want to poke him in the eye at all. So we can brush along the top and just run your hand over it, but we want to be really gentle on the face. I also then like to push their ears forward and just brush in behind there, and lift the halter up and put the brush under there in case we didn't get all the dirt off from the bridle. And then, same as the curry comb, we do this one.
Dandy brush.
Dandy brush, yep, sorry. Same as the dandy brush, the one just before this one. We go all over his body. He's like, this is amazing. I know I'm not doing any work. He's only doing the one side. It's really important to make sure their legs are clean, because when they wear boots, we don't want anything to be rubbing underneath the boot on the leg. So we check their legs, obviously, for swelling, lumps or bumps that weren't there.
Heat.
And that way we know that it's fine to pop them on. And if we notice something, we ask for help from our instructor, and if we need a vet, we need a vet. All over. And then they look beautiful.
Yeah. So if you do want to check that your horse is nice and clean, especially under his tummy, you can just run your palm underneath his tummy. It should feel nice and smooth, should look nice and clean if you have brushed him properly. Okay?
Okay. And then they have their mane and tail. We'll do that bit first. So forelock and mane. Spuddy's sits to the left, most horses sits to the right. So that's why we're using him today. And we'll do that first. So always starting at the bottom, and then just gently working your way to the top. It's like your own hair. If you start up here and pull it down, you're going to make a big knot and break it. We don't want that. So same thing with his mane. Start at the bottom, work your way up. Sometimes go wild bits, just tame them with the brush.
You can just use a normal human hairbrush as well.
It's actually, I prefer hairbrush, but combs are fine. All the way, just that up. We don't have a bridle path cut. And then his mane's all nice and clean. Now when it comes to their tails.
Wait a minute, I'll just go behind this pole so I can see.
That's how great editing. So I'm going to move his bottom around.
That's fine, we can see that.
You can see his tail.
Yeah.
So you don't want to stand right behind him because he can't see you there. Okay, so what we're going to do is bring his tail over into the side. Now, we don't actually brush the horse's tails unless we're shampooing and conditioning, because we find it just breaks them and they end up with really thin whippy tails like that over there. So all we do for a lesson is we actually just go through the horse's tail with our fingers. If there's any grass or anything caught in there from when they've been lying down, we pull it out, and we just, like I said, we just run our fingers through it. If we want to get little bits out that are like this, you can either get a detangler and leave it in for a few minutes and then play with them, or when you are giving your horse a nice wash, shampoo the tail, give it a rinse, put it in the conditioner, leave it in so it can soak. Then while the conditioner's in, work your fingers through the tail to undo all the knots, and then you can brush it. But don't just take to it with a brush, because you'll end up with a big mess, and don't brush it every day because you'll end up with no tail. So that's basically all we do, yeah? I would say. That's really
Good.
helpful. And
I'll
then,
stay back here for feet, I think.
so the last thing we need to do is pick out our horse's feet. Check their shoes, and we pick our feet every day to make sure there's no abscesses, brewing, stones, things like that. So to pick up their feet, you're going to run your hand down the inside of their leg. You can see here how they've got a chestnut. They've got them on all their legs, but obviously on the side, I'm just going to give it a little squeeze and a little push he's going to lift his foot up. I need to catch that foot. That's what's the important part. Now you need to be quite strong, and the closer you can stand to the horse, the better, just keeping your feet out of the way. You might get a horse that tries to stomp the foot out. It's really important you just hold on to it. And if it's a bit hard and you're a littly, mum and dad can do this part. Okay, so first things first is you've got the brush and the pick. We're going to get the brush and we're going to brush over the hoof to make sure that we can see. Once we can see, we'll go in with the pick part down the sides of the frog and around the shoe. If your horse doesn't have the shoe, you don't need to worry about that. Now, the frog is a sensitive area, so you don't want to ever be poking it too hard with the pick. So we just gently, from the top down, go in on either side and give it a clean. They're nice and clean at the moment because it's dry. And then just around the side of the shoe. Making sure it's got nothing in there, no stones. And
sometimes you might see, like especially during the change of seasons, some white part of the hoof. That's just the horse's sole flaking off. It's a bit like our skin peeling. Don't be concerned by that. If you smell any like foul smelling thrushy type smell, normally it means your horse's feet are a little bit too wet and you need to clean them out more regularly. That particularly happens in the wet season. So your farrier should be able to talk to you as well about ways you can manage thrush and smelly feet in the wet season. But at the moment, it's nice and dry, so you shouldn't have to worry about that for a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. And also while we've got his foot up here, just had his shoes on secure. You can see the nails, but there's none hanging out to the side. They're all things you need to let your farrier know about to help you get that sorted if you have a horse with shoes. So once we want to put his foot down, we want to make sure our feet are out of the way. We just gently want to place it down. It's really easy. So I'll show you how the back leg moves though, because it is a little different. The foot part is the same, but when you pick up a horse's back leg, that should be interesting.
A little bit more forward.
One more forward, because I've got to pick up this leg. Super.
There you go.
So same thing, standing close to him and making sure my feet are going to be out of the way. Running my hand down, giving him a little squeeze on the hock. See how he starts to lift? I want to catch his foot. He's very lazy. But because this is a little bit more like an elbow shape, see how he's going to pull the leg forward? That's fine because it's just natural, because that's how it moves, like this. But we need to bring the foot back to be able to clean it.
Stretch it back.
Stretch it back. So once you stretch it back, you've got it, you've got your feet out of the way, you're close to your horse. Same thing, if they do try and pull, you do want to hold on to it till they stay still so you can get yourself out of the way. Give it a brush, take it out. Nice and easy. See, Spuddy actually had a little bit of thrush in this one. That's okay, we'll just put some stuff in and it'll be all better. And then putting it down, sometimes Spud would literally drop this, but some horses might snatch it up like this. That's completely normal. Just hold it and guide it down and then step away and you're nice and safe. And that, once you do it on both sides, is your horse groomed.
Well done.
Then we need to saddle.